Dissipation of the Darkness audiobook, written by Jose Cicero Honorato. Subtitle, Or the Kingdom of the Antichrist. Resume of the life of Dr. Prudente de Moraes. Dr. Prudente Jose de Moraes Barros was born October in Itu, Sao Paulo. In the year 1863, he acquired the title of Doctor of Law. In 1864, he was elected a member of the Council of Piracicaba. In 1867, he was a member of the Chamber of Deputies of Sao Paulo. In 1885, on January 9th, he was elected deputy of the 8th District of Sao Paulo. On December 3rd, 1889, he was named by the Provisional Government of the Republic governor of Sao Paulo until October 18th, 1890, the day on which he was appointed senator. On November 21st of the same year, he assumed the presidency of the Constituent Assembly with 146 votes opposed to 80. In the first days of March 1894, he triumphed by a smashing majority in the presidential elections, assuming the presidency on November 15, 1894. He was an example without precedent in self-sacrifice and justice, attaining the friendship, goodwill, and trust of all the people and all the politicians of the nation. He died December 13, 1902. Resume of the autobiography of a Wad Quarry. Pictured a Wad Quarry, translator of this history from French to Arabic, with clothing and Masonic decorations. Upon discovering the mystery, he gave up the Masonry. I was born in Chiaya, also Beirut, Lebanon, in January of 1871. I received a Christian education through my parents, the Orthodox priest Yosef Antun Garros El Khoury and Naela Mansour Fayal. I studied in the local elementary school, acquiring the title of teacher of Arabic and French after having finished my secondary studies in special courses. My students were numerous, some of them being outstanding personalities, as for example, Professor Wadi Naim, who came to be president of the College of Lawyers of Lebanon. Spurred on by my aspirations to a brilliant future that I could not attain by means of the profession of teacher, I journeyed to France to study Pasteur's system of raising silkworms. My studies ended, I became an industrial merchant in that profession. Seeking a better future, and perhaps by the natural instinct of my adventuresome race, I abandoned everything and journeyed to Brazil, where I had the opportunity of meeting Dr. Prudente de Moraes, President of the Republic of Brazil, who commended to me the task of recoding the private affairs of the presidency from February 15, 1896 until September 12, 1897. During this period, the President introduced me to the owner of this history, as will be seen in the following pages. For reasons of health, I journeyed to France. My health regained, and at the repeated insistence of my parents, I returned to Lebanon. I journeyed to France again, and, on returning, met in Istanbul Muzaffar Pasha, who appointed me his secretary. We journeyed together to Beirut, where, because of the royal intrigue and the discovery of my affiliation with the association, quote, Young Turkey, unquote, from which I had 2 decorations of merit, I renounced my charge. At that time, an attempt was made to integrate Lebanon in the Turkish Congress, Mib Huthan. Such an attempt provoked my reaction, and I published a book with respect to this entitled, quote, Lebanon in Danger, unquote. My name was inscribed on the blacklist, and I was persecuted by Jamal Pasha, a governor more merciless than the Imperial Ottoman, which obliged me to take refuge with my family in the vicinity of a convent of religious until the end of the war. Note under Young Turkey. Revolutionary secret society of liberal character inspired by the secret societies. Young Italy, Young Germany, and Young Europe, created by the Revolutionary Freemason, and also Carbonare, the Italian Giuseppe Mazzini. Translator of the notes to Portuguese. My encounter with the owner of this history. Do not be surprised, dear reader, if I declare frankly to you that I was one of the extraordinarily numerous seekers and investigators eager for the history of the foundation of the Masonic Association and of the principal reason for its foundation. All my efforts toward that intention were in vain. Many times I had serious discussions with my brothers after having become an affiliate in the association. I struggled terribly to penetrate its secrets through the high degrees that I could scale through my activity. I arrived at nothing. My destiny was similar to the destiny of thousands before me, whose search ended in failure. I almost forgot the objective that I had dreamed of because the journey was so long. On that long journey, I arrived at one point that I could not pass, the point of resignation before the hermetic secret, the secret of the foundation of Masonry. My political occupations especially obliged me to neglect that objective, now for me unattainable. And one day, providentially, I met Mr. Lawrence, son of George, son of Samuel, son of Jonas, son of Samuel Lawrence, thanks be to God, and to Dr. Prudente de Moraes, President of Brazil, who introduced him to me. Pictured the last descendant of the owners of this history, Lawrence, the last descendant of the owners of this history. Mr. Lawrence is the owner of this history, the Hebrew manuscript that I present to the reader translated into Arabic, and he is, at the same time, the last heir of one of the 9 founders of the association, the mysterious force, as will be seen later. Within a short period of time, we forged strong chains of growing friendship. We agreed to translate the manuscript to Arabic and Turkish directly from the French version, one of the languages in which it was written. I would make 2 copies, one for Mr. Lawrence and the other would remain in my possession, so it could be published into Arabic and Turkish countries. In these countries, I would have exclusive rights of translation, reproduction, editing, and publishing in the 2 languages. Before finishing the reading of the history and before signing the agreement, in one of the meetings held by Dr. Moraes and my new friend Lawrence, I asked the President, quote, every history has its proofs or evidence on behalf of impartial historians. In our history, on what evidences or proofs can we rely besides those of its owners? Unquote. Behold the answer given by Dr. Moraes, confirmed by the owner of the manuscript, quote, what proof will a history such as this have, one that was hidden among 9 men and their respective successors, known only to them, the first and only one of its kind, if no one saw it or read even the least part of its contents except the 9? From whence and from who can come the proofs to which you allude? The proofs, then, are their testimony, the events that happened until our days, and the detailed investigations of wise historians who worked in vain to explain its secret. Moreover, as every history, the first and the oldest of its kind, requires the investigation of subsequent historians who confirm its text after having read it. But this history, who read it? Who saw it? Except the 9 founders and their respective successors. We, you, and I, untiring readers and investigators of the origin of Masonry, have this manuscript before us. I, who have read and analyzed it, based on my studies and investigations, assert its veracity and recommend its translation and publication. Dr. de Moraes' answer inspired confidence in me and awakened my enthusiasm to carry out the work commanded. I began to work eagerly, spurred on by the thought that my new friend would cease being so and would not persist in his agreement. Despite Mr. Lawrence's requirement that the translation from French to Arabic be realized in his own house, the development of the work was carried out to perfection in 2 copies, as he asked. The work being concluded in the year 1897, 1 copy remained in Mr. Lawrence's possession and the other in my possession. I considered it an indescribable treasure and an invaluable relic. In the year 1898, I returned to my country, Lebanon, taking the aforementioned copy with me. Comparison of this history with prior knowledge of Masonry. Once in Lebanon, I began a series of studies, investigations, and comparisons, making use of everything published with respect to this. These tasks of consulting the different authorities concerning the matter took long years. The war from 1914 to 1918 occasioned an obligatory recess. The conflict ended, I renewed the investigation, requesting through correspondence from Grand Orients, institutions of high rank and important newspapers, details concerning the existence of a history that treats of the date of the foundation of the origin of Masonry. I sent letters to London, Paris, New York, Cairo, Berlin, Madrid, and Rome, obtaining the following scant replies.